Hello, this is a review of the CyberPower CP1500 Universal Power Supply. So what you get out of the box is everything that you see in front of you here. So you get a USB cable to connect with the software that they give you to the back of your computer to this, so that when it reaches about 20% remaining capacity, you can automatically shut down your computer. Just for surge protection, they give you an extra link for cable modems or fax phone lines. You get manuals. The manual is worth a quick read through. It's actually not a manual that's just BS like some manuals. I thought it was worth a read through. They also separately give you a list of the details of what all the buttons do, because there's only 3 buttons on the front of it. So if we look at here in the front of the unit, there's only 3, but they do more than just 3 operations, depending on how long you hold them. And you can start to press combinations, like you press 2 of them at a time to adjust the sensitivity level for when it trips the power supply, or another 2 to reset the count timer. So that's what you get, and of course then you get the actual device here. So it's fairly smaller than you might expect, but it's very heavy for its size. So all the way in the back here we see we have extra surge protection for your phone/network, surge protection for your cable modem. Here's your USB port for connecting to your computer with the software that can shut it down. And then you get 2 banks of surge protection, and only one of which will be covered for battery. So only 4 of these switches, these right here, of the outlets that is, will actually provide a uninterruptible power supply. So anything that you do not want to get cut when the power goes, you need to put it on this side here. All of this stuff, if the power trips, it's just gone. It's just at least providing surge protection. Also note that they did offset one of the outlets at the top here on both sides, so that if you have a larger brick adapter, you can plug it right on in there. And it won't get in the way as much. These other ones here are going to be bunched right next to each other. There are dongle cables out there from other brands that if you have a tight spot that you want to have a bunch of large bricks, you just run a little dongle cable and connect it down there. I have those and separately reviewed them as well. There's another 2 outlets behind this. They're just warning you that these are surge only on this side here, so you can remove that sticker when you're ready. If we go around to the front, we can see what's on the front of it. So here you have the basic power button, you have the 3 switches, and then you have the USB charging ports. This is a standard 1 amp USB charging port, so if you have phones and other things that had a USB cable for charging, it's just the standard stuff that you'd expect there. And now it does come in a box that ships 2 models, and it'll tell you on the box which one it actually supports with that comes inside this one. Of course, you can also verify with what says right on front of your unit, and the manual will be for both of them as well. Now, this thing's quite heavy. So on the bathroom scale, we say it weighs 28.5 pounds for the entire box. So here it is. You'll see it over here on the right to give you some perspective next to the size of 2 other computers that I have sitting here. So let's take a closer look at it. So you'll see it has a shiny case on the front here that you've seen before. And here's your main power button, and then this is the thing, you can press the toggle button here to take a look at the different settings. You press it for a second and it starts to come on. You'll see that I'm currently have an estimated run time of about 60 minutes or an hour, and it'll tell me right here my approximate load and battery charge. So let's go ahead and cycle through those so we can see some other interesting things. Here it's the number of events. So I have lost power to this unit 21 times so far, because every time my dryer changes cycles, it causes my my other power strip to kick it. So I have a monster power center back here that cuts the power every time the power fluctuates. So what I've done now is I plugged this guy into my monster power center so that it can still do its power cleaning. But it had been doing cutting, so that's what this is for. We can cycle through and see other things. We'll see the input voltage, the output voltage, that's currently the output hertz, and then the current wattage. So it's about 117 watts coming out of right now, which is my monitor, a laptop, and a router. And an approximate percentage, so it's about 13% capacity on my current settings. And you can hold this button to turn it off, so I'm going to hold the display button, and you can cycle it through some different modes. There we go. And then you can just go press it again to make it come back on. Now take note of the power button that's on the front of this. It works notably differently than your usual toggle switch that you have on power strips. So it's really meant to be an uninterruptible power supply, so it's protecting you for your own good. So to turn it off, you have to actually hold the button. So watch. And there, it went off. And then turn it back on, it's going to be the exact same thing. You can't just press it. That does nothing. It's the same as turning it off. Hold the button. There we go, now it's coming back on. So you have to hold it for a few seconds in order for it to come back on and turn it off. Now there are 4 things to note about this that you're going to want to be aware of. So let's talk about them really quickly. So number 1 is there's a big white sticker on the top of it. Now I couldn't peel mine off very easily, and it looked like I might end up ripping it off, so I didn't want to do that. So keep where it's nice and black with a nice finish, but you will have a big white sticker on the top. You might be able to get it off, but it didn't look like it readily comes off. Second thing is that it has a slight battery smell to it at first. Now it's very minor. It's something that I have no problem sitting it in my office. I'm not worried about it at all. But when you'll have this fresh, slight battery smell to it at first when it's fresh out of the box. Third thing is the thing is heavy, really heavy. So in my case here, to heft it on in here, I had to heft it back here. And I told you about the weight before, but just be aware and make sure that you have something to support it when you put it in there, and nothing that you want to put it on top of something that might get too tippy if you put it up there. And then the fourth thing is to note that it is quite quiet. Like it has no sound most of the time except when it's in use. When this thing trips, there's actually fans inside that will pull air in around the down. There's some slots down around the sides on both sides, and it will have a fan that's running, and you will be able to hear it, but it is not a loud fan, but it is audible, but it's only for a short amount of time when it kicks on. So when the power trips for the next 10 minutes, I might hear the fans running inside this thing after the power comes back on, and then eventually it makes no noise. So right now it's making no noise, and it also makes no buzzing sound. My room has been especially prone to buzzing. My monster power center back here buzzes like crazy with my dimmer switch in this room, and this thing is not buzzing. So, but those are the 4 things to be aware of. Overall, I think the thing's doing its perfect job for what I need it to do. The power cord definitely seems long enough that they give you here. One nice thing is it's a wall hugging adapter, so that it's not the usual ones that sticks straight out from the wall. So you'll be able to plug it right in like this, and this cable here will hang at a 45-degree angle to the side, so that you can butt up furniture perhaps right next to that, so you don't have to make a whole lot of room to plug in a big thick cable. And this is what the bottom of the unit looks like. Now this is important because this unit was really heavy. So if you plan to put this on a shelf or a wire rack, the feet don't stick out too far. And that's an advantage because you can distribute the weight along the whole bottom rather than on 4 specific pressure points. I thought it was interesting that you can actually adjust the sensitivity level of this here. So you can turn it for low sensitivity so that it doesn't switch to the battery power too often. Otherwise you have your high sensitivity. Now when you first get it, it comes with a big white label that's going to warn you that it comes without a charge. Now that's to protect it from accidentally being turned on during shipping. But what that means is the first time you go to use it, make sure that you're prepared to plug it in for a solid 8 hours of uninterrupted power so that it can fully charge the batteries. Otherwise you risk them not being able to support the full capacity if the first charge isn't fully charged. Thanks for watching the review.